what's up? When the next part? Please go check out the previous parts to gauge your bearings. In the previous part, I was talking about how it is that when I basically disappeared from Facebook and I was now busy doing church, I was busy low-key getting delivered from some demonic stuff that was going on that my ex was doing to me. And I'm out here, finally feeling like I'm free, like a ray of sunshine. Then next thing, like a dude from out of nowhere contacts me that I really liked, that really I was flirting with, but frankly, he had a girlfriend and he made his choice. He was like, I'm going to love my woman and I don't want to be tempted. Like, proper, this woman is beautiful, but there's more where they came from. And I've got a good girl over here, or rather die. So frankly, I'm leaving Garabo to be. Like, I'm not going to be seduced. So I was like, okay, fine, do you. I'm not going to force down you, sis brother. Do you, brother? And then next thing, here's this like bass having, like Barry White speaking, absolutely like thunderously handsome man. Asking me what I'm doing on the weekend, and I'm single, and I was already prepared to leave my man for him. I was like, hi, Abu Tiwiti King. What I'm doing this weekend is whatever you're doing. I was like, whatever you're doing, I'm doing it. But of course, I didn't say it that way. I had to maintain my cool. That's what's good. I was like, no, well, I mean, really, I don't really have much plans. Like, what do you have in mind? Why do you ask? Type thing. And then I remember I told you he was an account manager and he worked for MTN. And MTN has this like soccer tournament called MTN 8. And he basically had clients that he had to entertain at this particular tournament as an account manager for the business clients that got MTN. They were given VIP tickets to the finale between Kaizer Chiefs and Pirates. I'm not necessarily a soccer fan, but my goodness, I'm going to go to a soccer stadium and stand with your team if you're hot. Thank you, Natam. You know what I imagined? Like, that scene in Pretty Woman. Walking down the street, pretty woman. The kind of like to meet pretty woman, yeah, yeah, yeah. Where Julia Roberts is at the horse like show stadium thing with like binoculars that aren't working properly with Richard Gere, and like she be looking all fly proper going to like an expensive event with a man that is very high profile. I literally imagined myself that a man is inviting me on a date. Like, this guy has so much decorum. You take me to McDonald's, please. Like, y'all need to know how to take a woman out on a date. Like, inviting them to a sporting event and seating them in VIP and having them delivered like finger foods. That's a date. When you bring a woman to your favorite activity, when you invite a woman to a function where you are entertaining your clients, that's a date. McDonald's on a first date. What's going on? And there was some guy that tried to do that. I was like, nah, I'm sorry. If you're not going to scale up on my ex, you just ain't gonna be right for me, because I'm not trying to downgrade. And like I said, my ex, like, yeah, he whined, he dined me, he like did all that stuff. And this dude, I told you, he was a carbon copy of my boyfriend. He knew how to do dates. This guy was just Mr. Perfect, except not. So he was entertaining clients as an account manager. And Eba Tunkai, for real, you gonna go out here and introduce your clients to your, like, what you were, it would come to be discovered, attempting to convert into East Side Peace. Usiras, you are bringing a mistress or a side piece in the presence of your colleagues and your clients. Are you for real? I was like, yo, dude, make a decision proper before somebody done call you out, before you get like seen on television, before they zoom you on some kind of a screen and your ex then find stuff out. Like, how in the world you gonna go and introduce? Like, this dude was new at MTN. He was not. I told you that on the day that we met, he was basically his first day, and this is only a few months down the line. Do not listen to my very long laborious story and think a year has progressed. It's like 3 or 4 months, not long. So I'm pretty certain that this man's colleagues had never met in media, okay? And the first time that his colleagues and his clients saw a woman on his arms was Karabo. Boy, you're playing with fire. You are bringing a woman that is not yours for the first time amidst a people that you could have a very long relationship with, because you might just end up working for this company for 10 years or something. The first woman you bring along is not the one that you are serious to basically go and marry. No, it is not that this dude was not serious, not trying to make me a side piece. He was actually really considering, like, properly me. I was like, hey, what's along? Anyway, I was happy. I could know you really, really want it. I'm lost. Okay, I'm not yet saved. And even though the Lord is calling me, this is pulling me like every wind of doctrine. Yeah. Very well. I'm like thinking, okay, I've never gone on a date to like a sporting stadium. I frankly think it's really fun. So woo, do it, kill it, whatever. And so he asked me, what are you doing this weekend? And then I tell him, and then he's like, well, I'm entertaining clients this weekend, in this particular, at this like little Soccer City, FNB, right? It was called Soccer City during the World Cup, but then it went back to being called to FNB Stadium, but in VIP, because he's entertaining business clients is got MTN. So when I was sitting in the bleachers, go extra. I told you. I felt like Julia Roberts in Pretty Woman at the horse game. Anyway. Please, I'm not a soccer fan, so you better give me VIP treatment. Unless it's the World Cup, I'm not trying to freeze in those bleachers. Anyway, whatever. So he tells me that this is what's going on, and it would be great if I came with him. Yeah, no, this dude decided to take me out on a date, and I was so excited. I called my girl that was always on the phone with on some, hey girl, buy your short-term plans, it's a wedding day. I was already hearing wedding bells. How are you hearing wedding bells, sisters? When this dude is friends with one of your exes, two of your exes, went to a high school with yet a third who has passed away. Lady, right now that you are aware of, last time you checked on Facebook, he was still busy touring the planet with this woman, and you're busy saying, so it's stop. Like, blow my sisters, yes, in kulega, relax, but people know. Like hot knock, but no, at this point, hot boy, and I'm going with this guy into the sunset. I'm gonna be Bonnie and Clyde. I don't care what hearts I break at this point. I want him. Remember, Peritone, Perry White, yes, like this guy was just everything in a bag of chips. Physically, moving on. So herein lies the circumstance. Crank is all excited about something that she ought not be excited about. My friend Niobe, she's like congratulating and applauding in my wedding. Chutana. Like Chutana. And he showed me. I was like, oh, girl, I'm so excited for you. And I'm like, sisters, really too, we need the Holy Spirit. And it's funny, because me and this friend are really busy fellowship, got the things of God, right? Thinking that we can basically both have a very worldly lifestyle and still love Jesus. So when I was telling her that I'm about to go, she was like, oh girl, I'm so excited for you. I'm happy for you. Hey, lukewarm Christians, you are funny, you are hilarious. Everyone gonna think you will enter heaven being so disturbingly disgusting. You don't have any regard for other people, human emotion. What make you think that people are gonna take you seriously in the kingdom of heaven? No one look at you think you are something to be departed from the sight of Jesus. Anyway, whatever. So I'm like all excited. My girl is like, we both jumping. Like, I got the date. Okay, sharp girl. So Saturday is gonna come, and then he tells me on the phone again, very well spoken, eloquent man. My goodness, like, yar. Okay, he's, I'm gonna send you the itinerary over email, and then I guess we'll keep chatting like in the run up too. I was like, yeah, cool. Now we're doing this. Very well. Sends me the itinerary, and I'm so excited, and I'm already planning. What am I gonna wear? Like, I was such a little prissy diva girl with like the heels. He thought I was gonna rock up go stadium and get very heel. Hey, stadium. Relax. Even though I'm not a soccer fan, I'm not gonna rock up there like a whole Dumont heel and gaga. I'm gonna know how to wear some cute flats. Like, that's what's good, right? I knew how to be smart casual, looking all cuter type thing. Very well. This dude, the day before, he calls me again. The day before the date type thing, he makes a call. So this is a man that has a girlfriend. Baby, I love you, whatever, I'll see you. The girlfriend did not live in the city. She was based somewhere else, I think from Sebezi. I would know these things because I was stalking the guy on Facebook, okay, type thing. So I knew that he basically felt like he could afford to do this because his woman was far away. Okay, very well. So a game that I frankly was not prepared for, but like I said, I was already planning a wedding. Anywho, he contacts me the day before, and guys, this guy's chivalry, the things I wanted in a man, the devil, but when he wants to distract you from God, he will give you everything on a silver platter that you want. But this is a war between the kingdom of heaven and the kingdom of light, and God wants me high and low, no matter what. So the devil didn't stand a chance. The devil did not stand a chance. Like, he tried, but it didn't work. he brought this guy along who was everything I wanted and more, in a very worldly capacity. And when he contacted me on the Friday day before, I guess the Saturday before this like soccer match type establishment thing, here it is that he calls me, and what he said was just music to my ears. I was just such a strong woman. I had been with a man that I was basically driving around. Remember, he didn't have a driver's license until he got one, in a car. I was carrying the relationship, and indeed that's a ride or die thing that you do when your man is still kind of on the come up, struggling. Then later on he's gonna, you know, bear you up on his wings, and you're gonna fly out here in these streets, and he's gonna be like a private jet. I was prepared to wait for that, but remember, he was passing me shade and he was giving strong ugly vibes, and in this particular moment we'd broken up. But I was tired of being a very strong woman that's kind of manly, carrying the show. You know, it was heavy. I wanted to just be swept away. I wanted to be driven around. I wanted to be picked up. I wanted to be dropped off. I wanted to basically be catered to the way that men cater to women. And I wanted a man that, despite understanding my financial girth, despite understanding all the things I have, owning my own apartment and everything, that I still nonetheless wanted to be doted over and spoiled and showered with feminine, light-hearted treatment, like I didn't have a single asset. I wanted a man to treat me like I owned nothing, and he took me from the Blasies, you guys, and just did a makeover on me, put me up in the house, and loved the living daylights out of me. I wanted that. I wanted a man that would ignore my salary, that would ignore my car, that would ignore my apartment, that would ignore my clothes, that would, and just basically want to do it all for me. A man that would know that I'm earning a strong salary, but that would insist on paying the bill. That's what I wanted. And I was pretty sure that my ex would have been able to get there and do that for me willingly. He wasn't able to just yet, but he was acting a fool in so many regards. So I basically went and found myself a version of my ex-boyfriend that had already gotten to a point where he could do that for me. And well, he actually literally met 100% everything that I wanted. This guy called me. Remember the other one that I told you about, or that told me that I'm gonna have to meet him halfway when he is moving to Pretoria, because frankly I've got my own car. I was turned off by that, and it's what made me decide not to give him a chance and just go back to my ex, stay with my ex, right? This dude, he knows what I do. He works for my company. He went on the active directory, knows what my job title is, knows that I got a promotion ever since he started working for the company, because ever since then I had gotten a promotion from coordinator to project manager. Was able to gauge more or less what my salary is, therefore, because of the level that I was at. Knew that I had my own apartment, knew I had my own car. Basically, I was a woman that could hold her own. And despite all that, he did exactly what I wanted. Everything that I wanted. For him, it was like, I've got my own job. I've got a job. I'm a man. And mine is to love, care, share, provide, and basically bear a woman up, whether or not she's got her own everything. And that, yes, like that guy, he stole me away. As he, like lightning strike, tornado, hurricane, he blew me off my feet. In one date, he prospered to do so much damage, but also cause so much joy. For crying out loud. In one date, this dude did damage and beautiful, glorious building. Anyway, whatever. He was a still quiet lake and a ravenous inferno all at the same time. An ocean that is bustling and teeming at the folds with dust and mire rising up, but at the same time, he was a beautiful, beautiful mountain top with a lovely view. It's like, how am I going to find God and the devil in one man? Like what? Anyway, he hurt me the way the devil would hurt me, but he blessed me also the way that God would. And because of that guy, I pretty much had more or less of an idea of what I wanted in a husband. Later on, as I would pray to God, more aligned with what God would have me pray for, I pretty much based my prayers on wanting a guy like that, but in Christ. Like a guy like that. I had one actually in my boyfriend. It's just that, you know, he decided to choose the devil, and so too did this guy. I was kind of already on the right path when it came to choosing dudes, but it proves yet again, women, that you can't fix a man but for Christ. They have got to choose Jesus themselves. This guy, however, had one violent, devastating, tragic flaw. He hated Christianity and Christ. As was Satan. Woo! Anyway, what I said there was the devil will bring a beautiful man that's also really ugly all up in your grill. He called me on the Friday, and this is what he said to me a day before this fateful day. He was like, Karaba Hazard, how you doing? Good. Yeah, so, and like about tomorrow. No, he didn't even ask me. So do you perhaps want to drive to the office? So what happened is that there were like these buses that would take like these clients. They would like come to the office building, park their vehicles, and the buses would take them, basically ferry them to the stadium. Okay. He did not even say, do you perhaps want to drive your car and you and I will meet at MTN and you'll park your car and then we'll get into the bus, go to the stadium, come back, and then you'll take and then you'll go home and I'll go my own separate way. He could have said that. It's convenient, it's better. Plus, he was coming from like a faraway place. Like he wanted to live in the neighborhood, but he was new in the company. He had yet to get an apartment in the neighborhood. So he was coming from, I think, Pretoria or something, right? So it would have been, I guess, more ideal and convenient for his petrol for him to make that for an arrangement. Be like, I'll meet you at MDN. We'll both park our cars, get on the bus, and go to the stadium. Type thing. And I wouldn't have had issues with that, because for me it would be what I'm used to doing anyway, because I'm so used to carrying my own weight in a relationship type thing. And this dude basically gave me instructions. I just found that so incredibly patriarchal. I loved it. It was so manly. He gave me instructions. He did not negotiate or ask my suggestion. He merely just kind of let me know how this is gonna go. It was not runny or ruly like some kind of a lording over with an iron fist, but rather just kind of guys, he treated me like I had nothing. And that for me was what I've always wanted in a man. Even though I had a lot, I wanted a man that would just absolutely disregard my salary, like I said. And the fact that I possess a car, I own one, I have a driver's license, it doesn't care, you're driving. That's what's good. Unless you're sick and I gotta take you to like the hospital or whatever, then I'll like put my foot on that pedal and fumble around with that clutch brake, with that clutch pad. But otherwise, you're driving. That's what's good. Yeah, no, Okie Brew Wam. Here it is. That he calls me and is like, so this is how this is gonna go. I'm gonna need you to text me your address, then I'll put it in my like GPS, and I'm gonna come and pick you up at your apartment. Then I will drive you. We'll drive to like the office. There are these buses that we could like go into, but I'm already sure, depending on how you're feeling, maybe we'll drive there together. Yeah, and then yeah, we'll take it from there. And just kind of putting it out there. No, he did not let me know that, you know, it's a stadium, just be careful, don't wear igwai. But he was thinking it, because at the stadium later on, he was like, I was scared that you were gonna rock up like with some like, you know, guai and be like all uncomfortable fumbling around, stumbling in a stadium. Anyhow, I found that so like delirious. Like it literally made me delirious. It made me kind of crazy. It made me melt on the spot. Right there, go easy, get a whirl on the like spot and just kind of fall on the ground. And some guys, I've met the man, I've fainted. And there were like butterflies flying around and birds chirping around me and little trees growing just around my feet, because of the way that I just felt like I met the one. My ex-boyfriend, in all fairness, he would have done that for me if he could, but he was, you know, still struggling to get his own. So I ain't gonna say that this man excelled above my ex. It's just that my ex was pulling stunts. He was gonna get to a point where he did that for me, but he was pulling stunts. Okay, very well. When this guy basically set the record straight and told me what's gonna happen, I was like, why? Sure, like of course, like alrighty, like literally by all means, I shall do as you say, sir. I shall text you, I shall email you my address, and I will just add like a little bit of a, you know, cherry on top there, and just like let you know that like landmark garage, you know, in South Africa, like don't nobody be out here. Please turn on Fenugreek Street, and then on Charlotte Road, make sure that you go 500 meters. No, you will see the total garage and spot seen there in the and then next thing, when you see the roundabout, that's where you look on the right, and the complex will be staring at you right there, and this is the name of the complex. So I insisted on giving him all that extra detail, but he had told me all I needed to send him was the address, and it would like use basically like GPS. What is this, like Google Maps? But I like insisted, garage, you will turn this way and then go that way, you will recognize a big tree that's gonna because my complex where I stayed was relatively new, so I imagine maybe it's not yet on Google Maps. So, so I told him about the garage and the tree. Total garage. Anyway, and then he responded, he was like, cool, I'll see you. And he didn't struggle to find the place. I don't even think he needed me to tell him about the roundabout, the garage, the complex on the left, and the bird and the tree to identify my complex with. He found it, and he was timeous. He was punctual. Like he was even earlier than punctual. I was not usually a very punctual human being, but on that day, I made sure that he does not ever sort of kind of, you know, is delayed type thing. He contacted me, I guess go gating called Garabo Zama is at the gate, right? Open for him. Yeah, sure, let him in, security type thing. And Zama expected to come in my apartment. Remember, I was single officially at this particular point, but Zama wasn't, because last time I checked he still was with his girlfriend, and he was not in a volatile space the way that I was, where the people kept yes, I get to burp, where people keep on breaking up and making up. One thing that was certain is that I did not want to be Zama's side piece. I was not about to do that. I liked this guy so much that this literally threatened to be one of the most devastating heartbreaks of my life. And so I was trepidatious and careful, albeit being very excited. I told you, he was both the devil and God, like all in one guy. Alright? So I didn't want him coming into my apartment. I did not want him coming inside my apartment, sitting on my couch drinking my water or my juice, and basically just seeing if, you know, he can't maybe, you know, kiss my cheek or whatever. I didn't want him thinking that this is going to end up in a one-night stand or I don't know, something of that nature. Like that I'm going to put out. He knew I liked him. He knew I was basically spazzing over him. Alright, on the floor I could have been having an epileptic fit in his presence. He knew I liked him. But he also liked me. Enough to display that whenever I have disappeared from Facebook, he then calls me and tries to, like, you know, hang out or whatever. This was the thing about this human individual. And I was not about to have a man who basically imagines me a perfect fit, just get what he wants out of me, since he is disquieted by the prospect of leaving his girlfriend for me because he's not sure if that's the right decision. There is this show on Netflix called, is it The Perfect Match or whatever, or The One? Yeah, it's called The One, and it's basically about this woman who invents some kind of a machine that is able to find anywhere across the world the perfect match for any person that joins with her agency. And lo and behold, this match is so accurate that when these people see each other, even if the one person does not know who their perfect match is, they just have instant chemistry. And even if these people are married or if they're in a relationship or whatever, they will throw apart all of their lives just to be with the one people. But one guy is married to a woman, and his perfect match, his wife, the woman that he's married to, investigates or hires the services of this agency to find out who is her husband's perfect match, because she was insecure that her man might just meet a woman in the street and leave her one day. She finds out that it's not her, but some other lady, and this lady just so happens to be in her friendship circle, and it freaks her out and makes her panic to a point where she does not want this lady to ever meet her man, because they're gonna have instant chemistry. Lo and behold, this woman who went and dabbled in this nasty thing, who she actually, no, she wasn't in her friendship circle, sorry, it was a woman that lived in her neighborhood, and she is the one that brought her into a friendship circle so she could monitor her that she might not meet her husband. And indeed, precisely because she was monitoring her that she might not meet her husband, she had this woman's number, and this woman thought it was a new friend she had met. So when her husband was trying to plan a surprise birthday party for her, he went into his wife's contacts and saw this woman's number and just contacted her on some, come through, I'm having a surprise birthday party for my wife, not knowing that this is his perfect match. At the surprise birthday party, this woman, surprise, rocks up, and then this woman comes late. The perfect match. She comes late basically even after the surprise. And when her husband is like surprising everybody, she's happy initially at first, and then this woman comes because she was invited to her new friend's party, and she just went ice cold on some, oh my goodness, that's my husband's perfect match. And indeed, lo and behold, as soon as she walked into the room and the husband and this woman locked eyes, it was over. It was over. This woman, they had instant chemistry in a way that the wife could not ignore, and even though they tried to pretend that this thing is not happening, this man ends up then basically having like his passions explored right there at that party in the bathroom with this woman, because he couldn't hold his horses. But then after it all happens, he's guilty because he's married, and even though he's got mad feelings for this perfect one lady, he's like, I'm married, I can't be with you. And this woman is like, just like that, you have my body in a bathroom like I'm some harlot, and then you're just gonna go back to your wife? And she ends up really bitter and basically plotting and scheming to see how she can crash and burn this marriage. Yeah, frankly, what I was facing the risk of with this guy was being like the perfect match of that dude that is married himself, but then has this like wild chemistry with another woman, is actually really besotted with her, but has too much of a guilty conscience to leave his wife, and so he makes out of her a one-night stand and vamooshes, causing a great deal of bitterness in this woman who will have also been very violently in love. That's what I was facing as a threat in this thing. I was gonna have this guy basically wipe me off my feet, then feel guilty and go back to his girlfriend after nakiba one night stand. I'm not that girl. I'm not a one night stand. One night stand in my entire life. So I just was not about to let that happen. I was not about to get that broken. I was not about to be a one night stand after getting out of a relationship 5 years. But this guy wanted to have his bread buttered on both sides. It turned out he really liked me and he wanted to see what in the world would happen. So when he came to my door and a security guard had already let him in, I took my bag and everything, my keys and everything, and I literally hopped outside on some hey, and he had walked down the stairs he expected me to open my apartment and be like, hey, how are you? Come in. Do you want some water or some oros? Or cranberry juice? Because I always had that. Love cranberry. I protected myself from that even happening. I did not want to be in my house with this man alone. Like, it was already too extreme. The chemistry between us was hard knock. It was hard knock in training. It hard knock on the phone. Hard knock in the office that day, to a point where my colleague was like, wow, you and that guy look really good together. He could totally be yours. Even people could see it that were like around us, right? And for me, it was like something could happen and suffice between me and this guy. But I'm not out here in these streets trying to roll with it. I'm not trying to roll with it. I'm not doing it. Okay? Not unless he, like, in a very decided fashion, to a point where I know that that's what's going on, prepared to literally walk out of whatever it is that he needs to pull apart to be with me, because stuff on my end is also pulled apart. And remember, there was going to be the taboo of finding out that one of his best boys is my ex-boyfriend, so he would have had to go over that hurdle and still marry me anyway, and it was just too much to work with. Nonetheless, I wanted the thrill of just going on a date with the perfect guy, so I allowed him to take me on that date. But for the life of me, remember I told you this guy was literally as decent as my ex. You know how on our first date, when we kissed, he like held my shoulders, like touched my shoulder, like he kept his hand on my shoulders. He did not allow his hands to wander, and so therefore just grope all different kinds of my body parts. He likely would not have like pounced on me, but you could tell that he was kind of offended by the fact that I didn't want him coming into my apartment. But I didn't want him coming into my apartment, not because I was ashamed or sorrowful of what my apartment looked like. I just did not want to be in the same room with a man that I felt that way about. Yeah, no, I did like, no. Yeah, just in the same way that in that show, The One, as soon as this guy and this woman met in the corridor in the bathrooms, when she was going to the bathroom, he was leaving the bathroom, and they decided to go into a stall and just finish what they started, whatever passions they had, like right there and then. Even though I would not have been prepared to do anything with this guy, we might have just like ended up just looking at each other in a funny, strange way, and next thing we all making out in my apartment. I never would have allowed it to get to a point of sex, but I just did not want this dude doing anything with me while he still had a girlfriend. He was not about to cheat on her with me. I was not about to be a side piece. I was not about to do that. So I juked myself into thinking that this is just a date. A friendship thing, whatever. That wasn't friendship. I knew what I wanted there, but anyway, that's what's going on out here, right? So I jumped out of my apartment real quick as he was coming down the stairs, and he like basically backed up on some, oh, so I guess you don't want me coming into your place, sharp. Anyway, I jumped out and I hugged him right there outside of my apartment. Following hugging him, of which I then locked my door, and you could tell that he was disappointed. Don't know what you wanted to do, dude. Do you want to come inside my house so that what? Why? What's going on there? I don't think he was planning on hitting it and quitting it. Maybe he was. I don't know really what that guy was trying to do, but he was not the kind to be like that. But why would you want to go and shatter a woman's heart like that? He just, I don't know, sow your real oats just before you go and marry another lady. I don't know, whatever. That other chick was not even his fiance, it was just a girlfriend. So moving on, whatever, cool. So we go up the stairs. I get in his car, tap a dude to open doors and everything. Like I said, just a perfect gentleman, okay? Drove to the office. It was the office, but we didn't go inside the actual office. The buses and everything were waiting there. And I'm quite shy, and I've been that way pretty much all my life. And he was able to pick that up. And so he looked at me after we arrived, could see that I was shuffling around because I was about to meet a whole bunch of like people, you know, that I didn't know, like his clients and whatnot. And I didn't want to be in a bus full of a whole bunch of people, but you know, I didn't want to dictate what's going to happen here. So he was like, you know what, let's let them go to the stadium all together. We'll meet them there. We'll drive to the stadium. And I was like, he even knows what I'm feeling. Like, he can tell, he can pick it up, he can sense. I was gonna go in the bus and just kind of sit around in the bus, but he could tell that I was gonna be uncomfortable. So he was like, tell you what, we'll drive. And then he introduced me to his boss. That's when I found out that his boss is a former colleague. So when he saw me, he was like, hey, what's up? Well, not so I didn't work with him, but he was on the same floor, so I used to always see him around. He's like, yeah, we recognize each other. And I remember being so insecure because I did not know if his boss knew that I was not actually his girlfriend, but that he had a woman. Because you know how colleagues talk? He's like, this is my girl. I don't know. Yeah, colleagues talk. Indeed, with my colleagues, I did talk with them, but never did I ever show them a photo of my boyfriend. They knew that I had a boyfriend, but I didn't really speak very much about it. So maybe he thought I was his girl. He was not. He didn't give me vibes of side piece in the room. He just was like, hey, nice to meet you. It looks like my boy met his girl in the office, because I know that you've been working for MTN for a minute. Nice to see you. And then he went on his merry way. I was treated very well. The whole time we drove to, remember this guy every so often would manifest a mean streak. I have car sickness like Papa. I can get nauseous if I'm not driving. I have got to be driving. So as he was like getting on the highway headed towards Soccer City or FNB or whatever, I started to feel bilious because I have car sickness, but it's not like too super severe. And so far as the aircon is on or the window is rolled down, I'll more or less survive. Okay. And so I started to feel some kind of way. I was like, oh my goodness, I'm car sick. And he looked at me on some, whoa, almost as if they're like, yo, you don't you dare vomit in my car. I was like, so if I'm going to be your girlfriend, are you going to have no regard for the fact that I've got car sickness? That same mean thing that he did where he was like, I didn't realize that I was supposed to call you. He did it again. He just kept on like more from glitching and twitching into this mean vibe, and then he would like bounce back into gentleness again, like gentlemanness again, in which event then I was like, hi, whatever, I just took it in my stride. We ultimately arrived at the stadium, and I guess that was the last time that he was weird and odd towards me. It was such a lovely day. His clients thought I was his girlfriend. They kept on referring to me as such, and he did not correct them. They kept on being like, yo, so no, this man, you must keep him in a bunch, your boyfriend, and he would just laugh at the jokes they were throwing and talk to them and not correct that. And I remember just looking at him on some, this is awkward for me because it's awkward because we haven't spoken about what's going on here, and here it is that your colleagues are calling me your girlfriend, but I don't know, whatever. I didn't drink alcohol. He did, however, I believe like have a beer or two. I was at that stage already, I had stopped drinking, so that was one other thing that I had an issue with. My boyfriend, my ex, had quit drinking. He was a drinker, but remember, the reason why my ex quit drinking was because of the fact that he could not hold his liquor, but this guy was still a drinker. He was also driving, so I remember just thinking, how in the world am I going to regress back? I wanted a guy that did not drink alcohol, but he was drinking. He had 1 or 2 beers, that's all he had. He did not inebriate himself after all. He definitely did not excel the legal limit or whatnot. He was responsible with it, but it was like small little compromises, things that he said and did that I was like, whatever, I don't care. 1, he had a kid, and I didn't want a guy that had a kid. 2, the alcohol, but it's not like he was an alcoholic, that's what I said, right? And then there was the bomb that he dropped. I did not even have to raise it myself, but he was like a storyteller, just like my ex. They were so similar. He was a storyteller, so while we were waiting in the middle of before the match started and in the halfway mark, he was a Kaizer Chiefs fan, and Kaizer Chiefs scored first. And we were all very excited. I was like, yeah, your team is winning. But then Pirates scored, and Pirates scored again. Pirates won. You don't want to go to a match with a soccer fanatic and his team loses anyway. I'm sorry. Anyhow, I thought that he got upset, or he was sad at the end of the night. He wasn't upset. He got very sad at the end of the night. I thought it was because his team lost, but it wasn't. It was because the good night that we had ended, and I came to confirm that the next day. And I will explain to you why I say that. In the halftime mark, we were chatting, and he told me some story of one time when he went to a church. I don't even know how under heaven we got talking about religion, but he raised it. This guy, the things we spoke about on that date were such deep matters. We should have actually just gone to a restaurant, but if we went to a restaurant, we might have actually fallen in love, like violently. So it's ideal that we were at a loud soccer place, and for the better part of the time we were watching soccer, because if we had spoken all day, it would have been similar to my first date with my ex, and by the end of that date we would have been basically, long story short, kind of inseparable, right? So it's ideal that didn't happen, because God didn't want that guy for me. I would have been the bane of the existence of the girlfriend. He was going to be very, very torn. Anyway, whatever. But the things that we spoke about in the intervals was just such heavy things, like his stance on religion. It's like he was basically interrogating or interviewing me to see if I make the fit or whatever. And he told me a story about Isonto. I think this guy was so turned off against church that he wanted a woman that had nothing to do with church. And I will continue to explain that to you, right? He said that one time him and his boy went to a church because, I don't know, they just felt like going to church that day. And then in the church they were doing something where they were busy calling the newbies in the church to the front to do whatever, and he was not comfortable to go kopele and with his friend, and because he didn't want to go kopele, basically the preacher started to preach about how it is that they are rebellious or something, trying to force them to go to the front. And this was like such a massive turn off that him and his boy left the church, and as they were leaving, this pastor was busy preaching about how it is that him and his boy are basically rebels. And ever since that day he was very turned off from Isonto. And I'm going to church every Sunday, remember? I had also put a status update on Facebook on some, guys, you know, I don't know, like I'm looking for a church. Remember, this guy's busy reading all of my content, even though he is pretending he is not. However, he really hated church girls or stuff that had to do with church. He didn't want to have to deal with church. And so he decided to tell me a story about church on a date. And I couldn't understand it. And I'm a woman that's busy interrogating the things of Jesus. And this guy's saying, look, you and I are good insofar as you will drop the church thing. Because I hate church. And I've got bad experiences with church. And yeah, well, that was weird for me. And remember, I'm busy settling hard knock here because I actually am starting to do church. I want a guy that's gonna want me godly because I want him godly. And at some point, I'm never ever gonna let go of God. Like that's something that I was never gonna do. And never in my life had I ever professed atheism. I was never about to start. So I would always be the kind of person that says the Our Father before praying, before eating, that prays before sleeping, that prays before, I was never ever gonna let God go, whether or not I was lukewarm. And this dude was basically saying, only way out of this is to be an atheist. And I was like, I really like him, so I'm gonna act like this is cool, type thing. That was the first conversation we had. But that awkward conversation was the only awkward one. The rest of the date was really excellent. It was beautiful. I had a really great day, right? However, his team lost. And I thought that maybe he was one of those super sensitive sports fans. Oh goodness, no, I'm past 40 minutes. Let's move to the next part.